the stream stuttering issues. All right, so we're back, and we are going to talk about the legacy player power rankings next. So we're already a little bit behind now, so we're just going to jump right into that. Now, as you know, we did not have a show last week, but we still had the power rankings. They are up on the blog, so if you would like to check those out, please feel free to do so. And the rankings this week will be comparing to the ones that are up on the blog. So we're going to start with the honorable mentions in Legacy, as we always do. Dragon Rider, Rabobson, Disco, Kurafinwi 86, and F. Srirachi. Kurafinwi was in the honorable mentions last week, and Dragon Rider fell from rank 5 to rank 11, essentially just outside of the top 10. 14-6 her record there, 14-7 for Rabobson, 17-12 for Disco, 15-12 for Kurafinwi, and a 17-11 game score for F. Srirachi. These are all players that have been kind of hanging around. There's such a weird phenomenon with the legacy power rankings this season because of the bye weeks. You've got some players that have, dropped obviously because they did not play, and then they come roaring back when they do get to play. So we're seeing a lot of like weird swings where people are jumping like 7 ranks at a time, or falling, in Dragon Rider's case, 6 ranks at a time, and having one fewer match played than everybody else. Icon, I'll start with you. Any thoughts on this little list right here before we move into the top 10?
Nothing but that the conference breakdown is interesting, and I'm very curious to see what the conference breakdown of the top 10 proper looks like. And I'm curious sort of what kind of data that we can extrapolate from that. So definitely looking forward to seeing how that shakes out. Other than that, it seems pretty legit to me.
And Lotus.
Muted Knight.
Hey, sorry.
He's back.
Still my computer's slow. I think these are all great players. They've all been showing their records. I'm a little bit surprised that Dragon Rider has fallen, but there's a lot to say with the new system where there's a week where people don't play. The numbers are just a little weird.
And I think the reason for her falling out of the top 10 will be obvious here as we transition to the top 10. You see a lot of really strong records. Coles is still sitting at the top, 6-0. Lemon's also 5-0. And even with the strength of schedule now playing a big role, Bill Snyder is still 7th. He's 6-0 as well, but you get a couple people above who have slightly better game scores, or like in Ron Mexico or Itachi's case, have played an extra week and have extra games under their belt too. So looking at this list here, Zeroshio was the biggest mover. He jumped from 10 to 6. Up to 4 spots up to number 6, I should say, at 5-1, 16-10, and this is if you want to talk about the conference breakdown. You've got the 2 strongest players at the top in red, and then 7 of the remaining 8 players are all in gold. Icon.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think it would sort of point to the idea that gold is very polarizing, whereas sort of red, you've got a lot of players kind of trading wins with each other, kind of going back and forth, getting those 5-game series, sort of trading blows with each other. So that's really interesting to see, sort of from a perspective of how the the different conferences shook out. On this, I will say that if we notice the 3 and the 4, Braun, Mexico, and Itachi are the top 2. Basically the 1 and the 2 seed for the best team in gold, and the team who I currently believe has the points, the number 1 points in all of Legacy. And it's the fact that they're both kind of popping off at the same time is really insane. It definitely speaks to how they're able to keep up their level of performance. Other than that, I'm super happy for Sanguine, man. I'll talk about Sanguine whenever she comes up with these rankings, but she's a sick player, and she needs to have more confidence in herself because she has some really high profile wins recently, especially in the 2 seed. Bill Snyder, you're like a 2 seed, bro. Stop playing 4 seeds. Good 6-0 though. Darkside having a better season in Legacy than Pro. Glad to see that. And then obviously Cole's making the hot Zilfs work, man, for sure. It's definitely cool to see.
Yeah, love seeing my teammate at the top, even if it is Coles, unfortunately. Love you, Coles. Just kidding. I will say, it's hard with players who we know that there's a lot of people in THL now who came in at either 5 seed, 4 seed, or any sort of seed where they don't necessarily belong, quote unquote, now. But with PR, it doesn't always adjust you as fast as it possibly could. And right now, we've got a lot of legend players that are sitting down in those rank or fourth and even fifth seeds too. So I wouldn't knock the competition. If like you're playing against 4 seeds, you're still playing against possibly legend players, and anybody who's been around THL for multiple seasons knows how the game is played at this point. So, not to say that Bill Snyder 6-0 is less impressive or anything of that nature, but he's just still digging for a couple of those quality wins that some of the players above him have already landed. So, Lotus, any thoughts on this before we move to Hero?
Yeah, I think I'll actually talk about what you were just saying, where PR, really, I was having a long discussion in the HearthCenter chat with Hat about this once, and I think what I got is you would think that PR is super related to the probability of a player winning. So, for example, if a 550 player PR was facing a 50 player PR, you would just have an instant win, or you would have a 99.9% chance. It isn't that high. This is assuming perfect play from one side or for both sides. Like if you assume perfect play for both sides, the stats I run show that most of the times the most advantage you can get is a 52-53% win rate. And so really there's not that much to say that PR will affect bunch, but there's always that thing that is momentum, there's always the thing that's how you're feeling that day, and it's not just the number of a 550 versus a 450, so the 550 will have a much greater chance of.
You can also take into account the people who are around that player. Their PR. It doesn't directly affect the play of a 4 seed, but it affects the prep of somebody who might not be as used to making legacy lineups or even for last year standing as well. So, having someone on your team, I will vouch for. Again, I'm going to talk about Coles, and I hate it. He's in like every channel talking about stuff with everybody, saying like, I like this, I don't like this. Why are you thinking about that? And it's like that type of stuff rubs off on your lower seeded players,
Yes.
and that is going to boost the skill level of a player who might otherwise be, only 50 PR or 150 PR, and they'll play much further above that level than they would otherwise. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think something to add to that, something that helped me grow a lot was actually 3 seasons ago when I played in X Energy. Playing with Impo was amazing because Imposition basically taught me how to use a stat system, and he let me go
Oh yeah.
berserk in asking him to run 30 different things. So I would send him, I want these 30 matchups, and he would send me half an hour later just a full sheet. And I would really go into every single number on that sheet and bring him things like this lineup has this really interesting detail, and we'd have long discussions and chat about that. So really, I learned a lot, and I made a stat system for myself after that because I felt like it gives such a strong advantage. So whenever you have an experience like that of just having players where you interact well and where can teach you something, it just grows so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely familiar with the Inpo Moneyball system. I've seen quite a few of those
Yeah.
spreadsheets myself, so can definitely attest to the depth with which he goes into it. So we're gonna go ahead and move over to Hero. Before we do that, I actually did make a promise to Icicles, that I would tell a quick story. So I'm just gonna plug it in right here while I'm remembering the surprise shot incident of 2009. So it's the reason I don't drink whiskey anymore is because we had a party that someone kept running up to me and yelling "surprise shot" and handing me a shot of whiskey, and I
That sounds
drank it.
lit.
It was.
Where do I apply to get people to do that to me? What? That
You
sounds
got
awesome.
you got to be in college and have your own apartment. Yeah, so that happened, and I lost track somewhere around 13 shots. I think it was in like the 13 to 16 range.
Okay.
Yeah, the next day was bad, so that's why I don't drink whiskey anymore.
How did
Can
you
we?
not black out after like 13? I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I only weigh like
I'm not
110
small. Yeah, I'm
pounds,
not
but like,
small.
damn.
Yeah, it
Can
was.
someone do that live in THL?
Dude, can we
Just a
please? I'll
match.
sign, dude. Donde. I'll have a drinking contest with Donde. That sounds like a good time,
And
dude.
It's yeah, it
can you?
was. I mean, this is 10 years ago, so very different, very different now. But yeah, that's why I don't drink whiskey anymore. So what a journey. I hope you enjoyed the story, Icicles.
Intriguing start, rough conflict, and a lesson learned.
Bonus story from that same evening. That same
Can
person.
can I just say another lesson? Another lesson
yeah.
for everyone is that you can use Amazon Prime to sub with Twitch Prime for free.
Okay.
What a great plug. Yes.
So you can sub to THL. It helps the board as well as everyone in content, just preparing content and bringing you more infrastructure and more fun stuff.
Yeah,
More
instead of
stories.
developing a crippling alcoholism tendency, you could instead spend
Yes.
your money on subbing to us and increasing the content creation of THL. So
$5 a month.
It's much cheaper than whiskey.
I say for
So
less than
it's
the
much cheaper
less than
than
the
medical
cost of a
bills.
shot of whiskey. Yeah,
Yep.
no. The bonus story. So that same person who was handing me the shots went flying into my bedroom, and when I say flying, he had his arms spread out as if he was a plane, and he knocked one of my speakers over. And then when I said, "Hey, you knocked my speaker over," he looked me dead in the face and went, "Nah, it's been there for weeks," and then left.
Awesome.
I had no answer because I mean the confidence was all it was like through the roof. So, yeah, that was
Right.
that was fun. So now that we're thoroughly off track, the honorable mentions for the hero player power rankings. Oh man,
Oh, that was some heroic storytelling.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I don't. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna live up to what Icicles expected, but this is the perfect segue because Icicles is on the honorable mentions. So we love to be able to transition things perfectly here. Icicles is it was unranked last week, jumped in the top 15 here. Electabuzz and Disco and Trippy Toad for that matter all slipped down a little bit. And Quaz, he was in the top 10, he left the top 10, and now he's back on the doorstep of the top 10 again. He will again think, I've said again a few times now, he will think that I am losing my mind by putting him here, but I think he's deserving. Lotus, I'll lead with you. What do you think of our honorable mentions this week?
Really good honorable mentions. All players with fine records. Hero, I've talked about this before. Hero has a very interesting spread right now where you don't have as much a legacy as a lot of players going 6-1. This is really because of what we said before. A lot of decks don't have really harsh polarity, as some people like to call it, or just they don't have super high spreads. Most of the common decks, they have pretty normal win rates. There's no deck like Odd Warrior, which just completely destroys a deck or completely loses. And because of that, Hero ends up being a much more even field. And I think that's what we're seeing here.
Absolutely. Icon, what do you think?
I think there's a lot of no prosier people over here, man. I think that
Yes.
they've been a great addition, and they are showing that with stats, man. Great for them, dude.
Yeah,
18-4 too.
Yeah,
Damn,
Disco's
look at that.
impressive. I say firsthand, I have played Disco, and Disco's a great player. So
Wait, how does he lose 4 while having 2? That doesn't add up to 3 losses. What?
yeah, maybe I meant 14 there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say
I
like, you
I
couldn't
type
even
good
lose.
apparently.
Okay.
When I'm tired, I don't know.
So he's breaking reality too. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it was
Noah.
14. I think it was 14. which totally makes sense because 18-4 is Diesel and would be in the
Yeah.
top 10 easily. So yeah, it's 18-14. I apologize.
Okay. All right, makes sense.
So let's get my shame off the screen and move to the top 10 here because those are all accurate, thankfully. So we did have a shift in the top 10 this week. At the top, Big Ted is now our number 1 player, and Agent Pee-wee, as we found out, that apparently is not the correct way to call him, but I'm totally 100% all in on that being his name from now on. Agent Pee-wee moves up 2 slots to number 2. Blue Spartan suffered his first loss of the season, and a small slide down to number 3. Catman hanging out at the 4 slot, and Lil Harthy rounds out the top 5, having not moved this past week as well. This is just a lot of strong players. 6-1, 6-1, all the way down the list to Sage at 6, and then Desharmo, who just makes an appearance in every top 10 ever because he's an amazing player, is also there. Ron Mexico too, for that matter. Just a lot of repeat names here. Icon, what do you think about this top 10?
I don't know, but it's very visually satisfying, and it's just like moves down in a very like cute little flowy way with the 5-2s and the 6-1s, and then Avi at 18-4, definitely a really good game win rate right there.
He's
Something to be
18-14.
very
I got
proud
that
of.
one right.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
It's just-
I see. You're making it funny. You're making it funny. I get it.
Ron Mexico cross player performance again. What the heck, man? Like what? He's crazy, dude. He's popping off.
I mean, he's absolutely making a case for the fact that he was no fluke last season.
Yeah, dude. That's insane. And then also seeing more of the things like Agent is it Pee Wee or PWE?
I just think it's PWE, but it was mentioned in the Discord that somebody had called him Agent Pee Wee, and he said that's not correct, but it's not the first time he'd heard it. And so I think that we need to make a motion towards that being the permanent thing. Also, shout out to Itachi for his 3-month sub. Thank you, sir. Except for in pro, lol at 2 and 5. It's all right. It's all right around Mexico. We can't all be great at everything every season. That's me in Hero this season, so I feel you there. Lotus, what do you think about the top 10?
So a few things. First, all these players from purple.
No, there's only one conference.
Yeah.
So yeah, technically everyone is in the same conference. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot because I'm thinking of last season for some reason. I didn't sleep too much, so forgive me.
I just stylized it as teal and purple for consistency's sake.
Right. That makes sense. I think, honestly, really solid from a lot of players. Kind of builds on what I said before, that the numbers are not as extreme as some of the times. It's just you don't have as any 7-0 players. It's really because I think a lot of the decks are less polarized than usually, and polarity helps for Hero a lot more.
Definitely, with those matchups can be viable in a Hero lineup, whereas in Conquest it can be very deadly.
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Ducharmo, who's in my Legacy team that has been doing amazing. Captain also in my Legacy team, but Ducharmo really is not doing that much this season, not that much work, and so he's doing super well in all 3 series just as a bonus.
Is that it?
Yeah, just being maybe a little bit sarcastic here.
Just so you guys can get a bearing on where Ducharmo's at in all 3 series, because we're not even going to show the pro stats. He's 5-1 in Legacy, 15-9, 5-2 in Hero, 15-9, 5-2 in Pro, 18-13. So that's a 48-31 record across all series.
Yeah.
15-5 in matches. So he's a 75% match win rate and a 60.76% game win rate, which is just, that's insane for all 3 series combined. Like, he is absolutely killing it right now.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll congratulate him. Congratulations to everyone who's in this list. They're all great players. It's not been an easy season for Hero, so good job.
It's hard out there for sure. So, we just talked about Hero and Legacy, of course, so let's stick with Legacy and Hero real quick before we move on to our matches of the week. We want to talk about the playoff race with 2 weeks remaining in each of these series, and this is kind of a fun little pastime we've had on HearthCenter the last few seasons, where I know we're not the primary Legacy and Hero shows, but we want to weigh in on the last few weeks of the season. I wrote a blog post last week about Legacy, and the week before that about Hero, kind of taking it back to where we were statistically at the beginning of the season and seeing where those teams stood. I thought it was interesting when I did the stats at the outset of the season. I said this is not a power ranking article. It's just this is what the stats say everyone should average. And honestly, a lot of the teams came out pretty close to where they were slated to be. So, I guess maybe there's something to these number things. Who knows? But let's take a look at the current standings for Legacy and Hero, which should be pop. Well, we can only do one at a time. Let's do Legacy first. Whoop. That's the sound it makes in my head when I do a transition, by the way. You're welcome. Now it's in your head, too. So we've got the red conference and the gold conference. Obviously, we can talk about these individually, and it's the top 4 from each conference will make it. This is including the adjusted opponent statistic that Hat has put up there. So you can see the red number means the tougher schedule, whereas the green number means the easier schedule. And the red conference has a pretty close spread of 5 teams that are all kind of in the hunt still. Once you get down to just rogue things, it's a little bit of a drop off there. And then I would say not YJs with 2 weeks to go are probably not mathematically eliminated, but effectively out of it. So Icon, just starting with you here, red conference, 2 weeks remaining. Who are your 4 teams that are making it?
Win red conference.
Did I say red? I thought I said red conference.
I'm sorry. I'm really high. Sorry. So top 4. Hot Zilfs, obviously. GLA, those guys are cute. Toxic Reinforcements, unfortunately. I don't know anything about that team, but they keep winning.
Bai is kind of the NPH team of
Oh,
Legacy.
okay, yeah, no, they're in. No, they're in. All you gotta say is NPH, dude. That's where it's at. Dude, top four is top four. That's what I think it turns out. I think Gold Conference is a little bit more complicated, but Red seems to be fairly linear right now. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see, so like it would be hard for me to predict some like Stubbs or JRT overtaking somebody like Toxic or GLA, for example. So for that reason, I would probably just lean towards a more linear like layout of that.
Lotus, do you have any differing opinion on the Red Conference, the projection for the top 4 teams making the playoffs?
So I think Red Conference in Legacy, you need to see how many matches they have played. And I think BYE and the Stubbs actually look higher than they are because they haven't played or they haven't taken their break weeks yet.
Yeah, they're the 2 remaining bye weeks this week and next. Yep.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be JRT, Toxin Reinforcements, the Albatrosses, and Zilfs.
Yeah, big win last week for Albatrosses over the Zilfs. Congratulations to your team there, Lotus, for your W last week on us. Very tight, and I think those 2 teams will remain in the top 2 in some order
Yeah.
as we move on. Zilfs has to play Toxic Reinforcements here in the final week of the season, so that's a big matchup which could easily result in one of those 2 teams, if not out of it, moving down in the standings. But as you mentioned, Bai and Stubbs are both, they're a little bit higher up because of their extra week played, and I think that's what keeps Just Rogue things in it. And not YJ's to a lesser extent, they are still, they need basically like a 20-point plus week this week in order to be right in the hunt, because
they need to do amazing both weeks.
Right, and Just Rogue things would be in that same boat. I think my preseason pick was that the Stubbs would make the playoffs, and I think that they will still hang on. They've had a slightly harder schedule, as you can see there, with the 14.75. It's a little bit harder than the schedule of the surrounding teams. So I think the Stubbs will sneak in there. I think Toxic Reinforcements could be that team that gets bumped out if they are unable to pick up quite a few points in the final week of the season against Hot Sylphs. So that's my prediction. I think it's the same 4 with the Stubbs flipping with Toxic Reinforcements, and they will be in the playoffs come 2 weeks from now. So Gold Conference, as you said, Icon, it's a little bit of a different setup here. 4th and Inches is way above everybody else, almost assuredly so that they will be in the playoffs. And Asa Dude, they haven't had their bye week yet. The other team that has not yet had their bye week is, let's see, 4th Inches. That's weird. They're just
So we're
dominant.
just resting on the 7th day or however that
Yeah,
works.
so I mean, there's a bit of a bigger gap from 4th and Inches versus where Suddude is over Dad Legend, Pod People, Wet Woman in that 3, 4, 5 slot. So I think 4th and Inches still can rest a little bit easy on their bye week, knowing that they should be able to hold on to a playoff spot pretty easily. But a Suddude is going to have to hold off Dad Legend, who, despite having the hardest schedule thus far, is still in 3rd place. Pod People right there as well. Wet Woman, I think, and I made this kind of case in my article. I thought that not that their season is a mirage, but I think that they have been benefited a little bit by the easier schedule so far and have been able to kind of outshine where they might have been expected to be. And Galacronies is depressed by that harder schedule as well. So I kind of like the 4 teams that are in the top 4 to stay in the top 4. Icon, how do you feel about that?
I thought that this was going to be more complicated, but I would actually say sort of the same. I think that Dad Legend's success is really, really impressive. Like the numbers don't say alone like the level to which they've performed in the face of extremely difficult teams. I think Fourth Eye and them are very definitive sort of teams that would be a safe bet to make playoffs. I'm going to shout out Starkey because he privately messaged me and said that he would quote unquote find me in real life if I didn't mention this. Starkey is our 5 seed on Sawdude, or I believe, yeah, he's our 5 seed right now, and he is 361 legend. He just decided to take the game like crazy seriously and popped off, and now he's like higher legend than I've been in like 2 years, so he's killing it. And thank you, Starkey. I love you. Please don't hurt me. Beyond that, Pod People are having Pod People were always a team that was very middle of the pack, like in previous seasons, but they seem to be doing pretty well for themselves and could definitely sneak into playoffs. Definitely play as sort of an upset team. And I'm happy that they've been doing well. WOMED has some rough times ahead of them for sure, but glad that it's so close.
Yeah, Pod is one of those teams that is always present, always right at least around the playoff cutoff, and this season no exception for them. Ridiculous Hat, great player in Pro, great player in Legacy, helps with the prep, of course. He's gonna make that team better, no matter what. So they're gonna be a competitor. They're gonna be a competitive team. I think right to the wire here, and I do like them to sneak into the playoffs. Lotus, what do you think about the Gold Conference?
Yeah, I think gold, it's stacked, but I think the 4 top teams are just going to stay in. It really makes sense to me.
So I think we all are pretty much in agreement there that that's how gold is going to shake out then.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's slip over to Hero, where we see a familiar name at the top of the list. That's Dad Legend. Again, they're 7-0, which is, kind of good.
That's
And
insane.
and that's with the hardest schedule because they don't care. They're just winning against everybody so far, and it's not even close. So let's just not even bother talking about them anymore because they're a playoff team. That's happening. But then look at 2 through 6. You've got No Pros here at 108, and then the Cult at 101. I'm sorry, yeah, 2 through 6. That was correct. 7-point difference, and only 3 of those teams are going to make the playoffs. At most, I mean, not to count ATL or DSM out either. They're behind a little ways, but not dead in the water. That's a crazy amount of teams clustered together right around the playoff cutoff. Lotus, I'll start with you this time. What do you think happens here?
I mean, this is a really interesting one because Dad Legend is definitely in. No questions there. They have an insane record. They've been doing amazing. They're way too far ahead that they can even drop a week or two, and pretty sure they're still in unless something crazy happens. So if we ignore Dead Legend, then the question becomes who stays. I think any team from ATL upwards has a chance of staying in, and it's going to be hard. I have to go with the numbers here and say that strength of schedule is going to matter. So whomever's had the hardest strength of schedule will have the advantage. That makes me think that Nosdormu and the Cult will be the ones that are going in. And I think they're going to remove Teen Hearth Legends and NPH. Sorry, Diamond.
Oof. NPH going to fall off from that second. And I mean, again, it's not like it's that far of a drop point wise. It seems so odd to say like this is the team that is in second place right now with 2 weeks to go, and they're not a playoff team. And that might not be wrong. They're 5-2 right now, and that might not be incorrect. It's crazy how stacked Hero is right now. Icon, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes.
Wait, do 4 teams make it in instead of 8?
4 teams making it. Yeah, 8 would be quite a bit
Oh,
of the 10. So yeah, it's just 4.
That's a Pug University moment. Okay, so Dad Legend is obviously in. I think NPH holds on, man. NPH that's hard to bet against them for me. I think Teen Hearth Legends falls off. I think Burnators keeps it in, so that's the first 3. Within that, it would be a question between Nostormu, Cult, and ATL. I think Nostormu makes it. So the team that I would pick to fall out of that is Teen Hearth Legends. Ox has spoken to me a little bit about that, so I guess I have a little more insight into that than most people, but Burnators is working really hard. I think that would definitely work out well for them. Overall, Dead Legend, NPH, Burnators, and Nostormu for the top 4.
I think I'm going with that exact same 4, and I will say Nostormu, obviously my team, so for conflict of interest reasons, I will say that the Trippy Toad has been fantastic all season and continues to be, but Saku has really turned it on and been the key to our success in the last few weeks. So big shout out to Saku. He's been on fire, and he's been playing great in Legacy too. He's really got a feel for lineups right now. He's got a feel for the meta. He's just doing great. So it's good to see someone who's been doing it for a while really be a key cog in the machine and get us back to the playoffs here for the second straight season. So real happy to see that. And so I will agree. I'll say Dad Legend, NPH hangs on, and then Burnators and Nostormu are your last 2 playoff teams into Hero. So here we are. Matches of the week. Last thing on the agenda tonight. And big shout out to everybody again. This week was another fantastic week for people really wanting to get on stream, like overwhelmingly so. I made a joke actually in the email that I sent to everybody that we had projected for matches of the week, that we had enough people want to play that we could have made like a second THL Twitch stream and actually probably filled that roster out as well. We won't because we don't have enough stream ops for that, but it's very encouraging to see people want to be on stream so consistently. So thank you guys again, guys and girls, of course, for being so quick to respond. And I apologize for people who responded like 8 hours after I sent the email and didn't make it on stream, because it's just been that aggressive. People have been just clamoring for it. So it's awesome. Glad it's a good problem to have. I will tell you that much. So. Let's see the first set of matches of the week here. We're going to talk about the legacy matches, which is going to start with 4th and Inches versus the Wet Woe Men, right at the top there. A lot of big games here this week. I'm just refreshing to see if anything has happened in this right now, because this always seems to catch me unaware. But no, it's still 0-0 right now. So Itachi versus Liquid Ox, Ron Mexico versus Dragon Rider, that's on stream. Your Mumked versus JR Juggerlaw, Super Murloc versus Matty Ibs, that's on stream. And then Rage Doppel versus Quirky Turtle. Lotus, I'll start with you. What do you think happens here in this match?
So this one, I think it's going to... 4th and Inches has been just slaying it recently. I think they will continue it, but it will be a good match, really good match. Ox versus Itachi is amazing, and it might be on Schoolstone this weekend. So Big Ted and...
I forgot that is another one, yeah.
Yeah, Big Ted and Saku will be casting it, and I think that's actually probably the best match out of this series. So I super recommend watching it. Rock Mexico versus Dragon Rider, another amazing match. Honestly, it's so hard to call. I think this is going for 4th and Inches, because I think Itachi and Run Mexico will keep at it and will take it. That being said, I can see Liquid Ox and Dragon Rider getting there, and yeah, I'm super excited for this one.
So I tell you, I think I've got 4th and Inches taking this, but I think it's closer than it would appear. I think Liquid Ox takes it in the 1. And I'm going to say I think Matty Ebbs takes his as well in the 4. And I think 4th Inches takes the rest. So it'll be a 3-2 win for 4th Inches, and they'll definitely be hanging on to that 1 seed. I should mention the Ron Mexico versus Dragon Rider match is the 9 p.m. match on Sunday, so it could very well come down to that in the very last match of the week. Icon, what do you think about this here?
So insider Ox information, Mr. Ox is going to be playing ladder extremely hard the entire day of his match with Itachi, because he's trying to qualify for the qualifier at the major with like the Swedish name, with the J-pop king.
Sean Punching.
Junkoping?
Yeah, I can't spell, but it's like a what do you call it? Yes, he's qualifying for the Swedish thing, so he's going to be very focused on that, and I believe that he asked Itachi to sort of move their match a little bit around to account for that. So I think his mind is going to be on some other things, whereas Itachi just has to zone in for this. So also with the 6-1 record, I think I would give that to Itachi. I think Ron Mexico takes it 3-2 over Dragon Rider. I think your Mum Kid beats JR. This is actually looking very 4th Inches related. Okay. Matty Ebbs has some upset potential right there, so I think he could take it over Super Murloc, get some points for WWM. And then I think it's hard to bet against 6-1 Rage Doppel in the 5-man. That's some rough stuff for sure. I think definitely a very polarizing match as it could appear, but definitely good players on either side. Could go either way, you know. Some huge upset potential from WWM.
So with your info, I'd like to take back my Liquid Ox winning, because I played Liquid Ox day 1 of ladder this season, and he was rank 3 legend. He had like just hit it as we started to play, and he was clearly fatigued from ladder, which certainly helped me, and then I won pretty convincingly. So I think Itachi, a player fantastic caliber himself, should be able to get the win in that case. So I'm going to swap over to the 4-1 4th and Inches train. Thank you for letting me know. So because Itachi would let me hear it too, if he isn't already letting me hear it in chat. He might be. I don't know. So we have next match is the Legacy Red Toxic Reinforcements versus Buy, and we do have actually a result in this one so far. It's 4-2 in favor of Toxic Reinforcements, with F. Sriracha getting a win over Pasca. So we have, let's see, Triss versus Noglaco, Icicles versus Agent Peewee, Carlton Banks versus Bitbeaker, and then Chubbs Peterson's Hand is playing Snake Fod. So I think the 5 seed can go any which way, and Bitbeaker is coming back for the first time in quite a while, as far as I know, into THL here. So it definitely seems like the matchups would have to favor Toxic Reinforcements out of the gate. Icon, would you agree with that?
No. You know what? I'm gonna say it right here. Agent PWE comes back against Icicles out of nowhere. 3-1. Nobody's expecting it. Icicles, amazing player, but Agent PWE, I'm just gonna say PWE so that I stay on his good side, has some crazy thing that he brings out of nowhere. Maybe he makes Burn Shaman work. Maybe he makes a Holy Wrath Paladin back. Brings that back. Something around that. Like, he just comes out of nowhere. No Glauco beats Triss. I am legally required to predict that. Bitbeaker plays more Hearthstone than you would think. I think that he has.
Oh, I know
decent game
Bitbeaker
versus
plays.
Carlton
I know he
Banks.
plays. I just don't know what his experience is in a Conquest format right now.
I have no idea either, but he is a grumpy old man, and I feel like he'll do his thing. Snake Fods beats Chubbs Peterson's Hand every time. I think easy clap. I have no data on that.
That
I'm
is
just saying
quite
that.
the PR difference for a 5 seed matchup.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That. Oh, okay. That is how that. Yeah. Wow. I didn't. That is how numbers work. Hello. That's large.
Lotus, what do you think here?
I think this is an interesting match. I actually would not have expected Pasca to lose there. He's a great player. I think, yeah, he's just underrated in the 4. He should not be a 4 seed. But I think Noglaco is going to win this one. I think Snake Fods is going to win this one. And I actually think this match is going to come down to who wins of Carlton Banks and Bitbreaker. Or Beaker, or however you say it. Sorry. Basically, if the old man can win, then it's going to be there. Otherwise, not. And
He's gonna
I
get so mad at
sympathize.
me too for that.
I sympathize with the old people as a relatively old THL player.
Oh, get out of
compared to
here,
the
you
average.
college student. Come on.
I'm not a college student, a graduate
okay,
student.
but like graduate
Yeah, okay,
still.
yeah. Recent college, now a graduate student.
I mean, that was 5 years ago.
If your age doesn't start with a 3, I don't even want to hear it.
It's starting in 2 months.
Yeah, you're not there yet.
Not there yet. I'm saving every day. Just using it really slowly.
Savor it for now. Savor it.
Yeah.
But Triss and Noglaco will be on stream on Friday night. That's at 8 p.m. So they'll be leading us off this week. And I think we had... No, we didn't. No, Bitbeaker and Carlton Banks tried to make it work, but it couldn't work, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll just have that one match on stream. But I will say, you mentioned Pasca underrated 4 seed. That is true. F. Sriracha also extremely underrated at the 4 seed.
Yes.
He stomped out everyone in the 5 into the 4 seed his first season, and now he's already up to 345 PR after this week, which is like a very legitimate, like low 3 seed PR, and just the way the team comp is working, he's sitting in the 4. So that's real good. He's a real good player, and I would say that matchup is not surprising to see F. Sriracha win with the way he plays. So our hero match of the week is Team No Pros here versus Nostormu. These are the two teams that are kind of right on the cusp there. Nostormu's on the cusp. Team No Pros here is at number 2 right now, but only 7 points ahead of the 6th place team, the Cult. So this is a big one this week. No matches played yet, to my knowledge. I should know because it's my team, but I'm still going to refresh it out of courtesy. Yeah, no matches played yet. So obviously I'm going to predict a 5-0 win for us because I have full confidence in us. And the big one I think is me versus Skittles. Honestly, both of us have kind of had a struggling season so far. Both of us at 2 and 5. It looks like Bitbeaker is just going to appear in every match possible, I guess, on stream this week, because he's actually on stream versus Anfall, and I'm playing Skittles on Sunday night. So there's 2 matches here in this one. Icon, what do you think happens? Team NPH versus Nostormu.
This is actually a very, very, very what's the word for it? Meaningful matchup due to like how close the teams
Oh,
are,
absolutely.
specifically, and not just the hero teams, like in general, because like obviously yeah they're close, but NPH and Nostormu themselves are direct competitors to each other, and wow, this is gonna matter. Wow, okay. I like the confidence from NPH with these like early class submissions. Agent PWE, I'm just gonna go with record there. Skittles versus Donde. Skittles is in a bit of a rough spot. So I think I would give it to you, Donde. You know I hate to do it to you, but yeah, you got this. So that's 1-1 right now. Bitbeaker versus I don't know. Anfal's a pretty solid player, man. That's I think that goes the way of Anfal. Mako beats Posca, so what we got? Well, we got 3 already for Nas, and then I think Electabuzz takes it over stock. Interesting. Okay, so Nostormu gets, what is that?
That would be 3-2.
3-2? I can't count. Okay,
You're saying
that makes
we're
sense.
winning the 2 through the 4.
Yeah, you are.
Losing the bookends. All right. Lotus, what do you think?
Interesting.
I think again another really solid match. I think Trippy Toad is going to take this one. Trippy Toad is having a great record. I think Skittles is amazing. I played in duos with him. I think he's super underrated right now, but he's
You
just
be careful.
really
You be careful.
solid.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, and yeah, I guess Coles is having a great legacy season, so maybe he'll coach you to win this one.
Oh no! Don't you bring him into this.
I think Amphol beats Bitbeaker just from PR since I don't really know Bitbeaker well, and I do think Hero has a bit of a learning curve that's important here. I still think Pasca's underrated, and I think he's going to win against Mako. And Electabuzz will win against Saku, so I have to give this one to NPH.
All right. So, we'll see what stream you appear on next week. I'm just kidding. So we have two matches that are so good in pro. Couldn't pick between these two. They're both a match of the week. FTL versus Taplast and Aeon versus the Menagerie. So we'll lead with FTL versus Taplast. Icon, speak to us about why FTL is going to beat Taplast this week.
I mean, it's not hard, dude. This is a match made in heaven right here, dude. This is like I was gonna say some like weeb reference, but this is like Superman and Kryptonite, man. This is Snake doesn't like, he just kind of wakes up and then wins. He's gonna beat C-Mac. I think BZ is definitely gonna beat Heatshock. His both of BZ's losses have been very, very close. He when he sort of when he loses, he makes sure that he takes max points, and so I think that his record is even less significant than it would seem. I think that he definitely beats Heatshock. I think Rebob and Nerdstrom is a very competitive match that could go either way. Liquidox and Faldos, obviously a really great matchup as well. All of those players definitely going to be on their A game, and I would think Mr. Top 4 DreamHack takes it over Bill Snyder. He's slapping right now in Hearthstone, and I would take him versus pretty much anybody, especially after beating Muzzy on stream. You know, like if that doesn't give you confidence, man, I don't know what does. Obviously, Taplast could take points away, but I gotta vote for my own team, man. Like, come on, we're clapping this week. Let's get it.
I mean, I never expected you to say anything less. I will say that Taplast does seem like they are on the rise, and they've got 4 players with a winning record over there: 4-2, 4-3, 4-3, 4-3. Bill Snyder, who is doing very well in Legacy, is 2-5. So I mean, I don't think we can count them out in any capacity. C-Mac's got more than enough experience to hang with anybody in pro, and I mean, I do think that it still seems to, on paper, favor FTL, but I would say the Taplast will keep this very close. Lotus, what do you think happens here in this match?
So I think this is going to be another tight match. I think Itachi is probably going to win against Bill. Liquidox versus Valdez. I don't know Valdez very well, and I know Liquidox has been playing a lot, so I'm gonna have Liquidox. Nerdstrom and Bobson, great match overall. I think it's going to go to. I think it's Nerdstrom in this one. Berserk beating Heatshock, and then Snake versus C-Mac is a coin coin toss. I can see both of them winning. So I think this goes to FTL 3-2.
All right. And unfortunately, we didn't get any of these matches on stream this week, but Aeon versus the Menagerie, we do have at least one match on stream this week, I believe. It's Markshire versus Dabs, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look at that schedule real quick. My cat just jumped right up on my chair and wrecked everything as far as how I was positioned in order to handle the mouse and stream operate.
We do have Rebob versus Nerdstrom on stream. It's also
Oh,
on
yes, that's going to be a
Schoolstone.
Schoolstone. Yes, that was
Yes.
last second edition to Schoolstone. That's right.
Yeah, 3
I will say I
p.m.
did
on
tell them
Saturday.
multiply, but like they got scheduling things going
That's
on.
okay.
So,
No, I mean
you know,
that's why that's what's all right. Yes,
I just don't want a repeat of the 1 week where I accidentally told everybody to not play on stream and none of them played on stream.
Well, Dabs versus Markshire is happening on Saturday as well, so that's happening at 8 p.m. That'll be the lead off. And so this is an interesting one here. You can see the classes revealed for myself and Nine Eyebrows. What do you guys think will happen in this one?
I like Warrior into your Mage, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a bit rough, for sure. That's ooh. But then again, you got the Wait, what? Why do you have a Shaman? There's so
why do you
I
have a
so many
Shaman?
questions. I have so many questions right now, dude. Like what? You did the illegal thing, the Shaman thing.
Yeah.
What's up
So
with
what do you
that?
guys think is going to happen in this one?
I mean,
So I need to
typical
check
Hearth
the
Center
Shaman.
fashion. Nine Eyebrows is gonna probably. But it's. I can't think right now because he's got Priest, you know, and like Mage does very well into Priest. Like apparently Priest is very unfavored into Mage.
So what's that Shaman?
You have Rogue.
It's Aggro Overload Shaman.
Oh, Aggro Overload. Interesting. See, I expected it to be an anti-Res Priest lineup with a bunch of Hex effects. That would be really cool. Oh, but now I've seen that match has already been played. I can't really say anything because
Debated.
I went in to check the
I
deck.
still don't know that. Oh, what happened?
Yes,
Dude, you debated us. Oh
I
my
took the
God.
I wouldn't
screenshot.
have
I took the
expected
screenshot
it.
earlier today before the match, and we
Oh,
had
do you
already
have
played.
another one? Okay.
He's sneaky.
I
Really sneaky.
I did win 3-2.
Okay. Wow.
Now that he's working from home, he has way too much time. So
I'm not
he
working
just
from home
goes
yet. I'm
sneaky.
I don't start till Friday, so right now I'm just off. I have all the free time right now. But yes, no, I was just messing with you guys. We actually did play earlier today, and the match was extremely close, and it did come down to my Mage beating his Priest in Game 5. The Warrior was very good, as you said. Warrior into that lineup was strong. It was pretty much exactly how you guys had talked the series happening out there, and my Mage got the win, thankfully. It took 3 games to get it done, but we got there.
Nice.
So
Wow.
the rest of this, what do we think happens here? I'm obviously biased once more, so I'll leave this one up to you guys. Lotus, I'll let you start.
So I think you will beat Nine Eyebrows.
I think you're
I
correct.
actually think that will happen. I have to give Base Ink winning against Hat.
Ooh, that's
She's
spicy.
been she's been
Wow,
doing really
okay.
well though. She was casting with me last weekend, and she's going to be casting on Schoolstone starting next week, most of the weeks. So
Very nice.
yeah, I think she's just an amazing player. So I have to give it to her.
You don't
Typhoon.
have to.
Yeah, but
He is compelled to. He legally must
yes.
give her the win.
I mean, you want to kick me out of the stream because I said I thought you were going to lose against Skittles. So
Are you just doubling down now? That's fine. That's fine.
I think Typhoon will beat Mata. I think Markshire Dabs is going down, and Markshire is going to win, and Coles is going to win, and I think Aeon wins 4-1.
Dang, so your only loss is Ridiculous Hat. That's not what I would have expected you to say, but hey, I appreciate the prediction. Icon, what do you think happens here, Aeon versus the Menagerie?
Aeon's bottom 2, I don't think are gonna squeak out the win. I think Aeon's top 3 win. Aeon kind of a cute team right now, no lie. They were a little bit of every kind of question mark at the beginning of the season, but they are looking hella cute now. And I think
Typhoon
6-1
big
Hat.
edition.
Yeah,
Typhoon
that's
is a
huge.
great player.
Yeah, He's very, very high, like, legend player, very strong technical player. I think that's one of the players that you would want the most in your 3 seed, and so I think he takes it over Mata, and then I think that top 3 sort of take the win, giving it a 3-2. And but getting some playoff points for the Menagerie, like, nothing to sneeze at there, possibility to squeeze in on that. So
Definitely.
for sure.
All right. So that was the last match of the week, which means that was everything that we had to talk about this evening. So, before we go, thank you guys for joining us here. We will, of course, be back next week, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So we'll have the next week of Pro, of course, and then we'll have one last week of the player power ranking, or actually, we'll two last weeks of the player power rankings for Legacy and Hero, because of course there has to be the final one once the season ends. So thank you once more for everybody who stuck around tonight. I apologize for the stream issues that we had earlier on, and a big shout out to Mako for his Twitch Prime subscription, his 2nd month in a row. Thank you, sir. Board member, by the way. Thank you. And this is it's a lot of fun. Had a good time with you guys tonight. Icon, thanks for being here. Lotus,
Thanks, Donde. I love you.
I love you too,
Yeah,
bud.
thank you.
Lotus,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here as always. Check out Tavern Talk tomorrow, of course. That is happening at 8 p.m. Eastern, naturally. Or THLST. I'm sorry, Mark Shire would be very upset with me if I didn't use the official standard time of THL. And then, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we've got the full slate of matches. I'll post those up in the Discord here so you guys can see what we are planning on. That's so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, and School Stone will be Saturday afternoon. So make sure that you check out all the matches. Until then, good luck in your games this week, and we will see you next Wednesday. Have a good night, everybody.